So I'm gonna go ahead and restart that. So now the recording is started. So guys, we're gonna go ahead and show you what's happening with the house that we bought for the class. And we're closing on that tomorrow. And I want to show you now what happened. We did make some changes with it. And we changed the scope of work, what was planned with it. So I'm going to go ahead and share some of the stuff. I'm really excited. This looks like a great buy. Again, Angela, what did you think? Angela did the walkthrough tonight. Angela, how did the house look?
It looked like it did when we, every time I've been in it. This is probably like the 5th time I've been in it. Still looks great. The more I go over to the neighborhood and I look at those and I look at this one, the more excited I get. This is the eyesore of the neighborhood, which is perfect for what you'd like to do. The rest, the neighborhood looks great.
What do you think top dollar would be for this house?
Oh my gosh. We know that we've gotten comparables. What did the lender put it at? Because I had thought
you had given me comparables as high as 190. The lender did 175 in about 5 seconds.
Okay.
175.
And that means that was an easy 175 was someplace that they felt comfortable.
They even commented on it and gave me a reduced down payment because they felt it was that good of a deal.
So. And it is that good of a deal. And these and so I still stand firm on the 190. I feel the lender giving you 175 is still something very fair that if I were the lender, I would feel comfortable doing that as well.
So class, what that means is if this is successful with all costs involved, we will net about 60 to 70,000 on this house. So not bad to have a share in. So I'm going to go ahead and share. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now, so that I can show you the what a couple of different things look like. Okay, so first of all, since this is everybody's and since I'm sharing the profit, one of the things that's going to be really important is what are we paying for the house? What's going on here? So this is what a closing statement looks like. And I know a lot of you are very experienced in doing investing and so forth. Some are not, though. Some have not done this before. So this is the final closing statement for me. The purchase price here at $56,000. The loan amount is at $107,600. Now, what you'll notice that, wow, that's a lot more than the purchase price. Well, that's because we've got $60,000 that we're going to have to do repairs on this house. Going through here, they're showing all the costs. And again, I'm doing this by example here because, as you're going to see, the closing costs are pretty expensive. Does that bother me? Well, you know what? You'd always like to pay less, right? Who wouldn't like to pay less? But here's the thing, is we got this done, closed in 2 weeks, no questions asked at all. And it's ease of use, everybody. So really, as long as you factor it into your cost, and at the end of the day, if you're still making a profit, really that's all that should matter is what are you making at the end. You can count pennies later on, or you can figure out ahead of time maybe how to mitigate that. If you're doing a lot of these, maybe you can mitigate that a little bit. You can chop it down a little bit over time. But for me, I finance these. I don't really go out and do too many flips. So for me, I just wanted to go with the way that I knew it would be the fastest, the easiest, and the way that I know that every single person on this call could have done the same thing and qualified. Why? One, you need no experience to do this lender. Two, you do not need to verify where the money came from. Three, they allow transactional funding. Four, they don't even check credit. And 5, they don't care about as is value either. They just go ahead and do their own value, and they do it pretty much right off your scope of work. They come up with the value within a few hours. We literally had our approval. I got approval clear to close, depending on title work, in an hour and a half. So just to let you know that it's fast, but it costs quite a bit. The total due from the borrower, that's me, $21,903. So that's my
But
money that I'm
can I
putting.
say something in there?
Go right ahead.
You know, so that's what I noticed you're going to end up getting, though, is when you have high quality work getting done in a quick pace and very easy for you to get the loan. And there's a lot of benefits for new people here that want to start doing this. It's the doorway's open, and you're going to pay a little bit more money to have that turnaround be so quick, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and the thing is, and when you're getting into flipping houses, I think the biggest mistake that I've seen flippers do is they're always trying to get the best price, and their focus really should be on who's the most reputable, who's going to get the job done, and how fast are they going to do it. Speed is the name of the game. Now, you want to try to get a combination of those, and over time, I think if you use the people that are reputable and do the job, that you'll be able to negotiate with them over time. Maybe they'll maybe shore up one end a little bit more, get a little bit closer for you. But sometimes, especially in the beginning, you need to start and build that rapport. You need to build that relationship. So yeah, just to build on what you said, Scott, because I think that's so important to use. And I think most people on this call recognize that. One of the reasons why I work well, and I'm really finding that so many of the people that I really hold in the highest esteem are the ones on here. It's because they have that kind of frame of mind. They have that kind of attitude. They're in this for the career, not just for one transaction. So you need to think of like, okay, this is a business, and am I going to take care of people that are serving me, or am I going to try to gyp them? And if you try to gyp them too much, you're not going to get great service. I think, is that kind of what you're saying? If I'm saying it wrong, Scott, correct me.
No, I think what you're saying is along the lines of what I was saying in a different way of wording it. If you're too hard on your lenders and you're too cheap and frugal to say, I don't want to say cheap. Everyone's looking to cut costs here because we want to make money, and everybody should get paid. Contractors should get paid. You should make some money. Everybody at the title company, everybody who got their hands on this project should get some type of compensation for doing their job. So when it comes down to it, is you're going to pay a little bit more money. You nailed it on the head when you said speed's the name of the game. So, I mean, I've done it. I've done the work myself. It took forever. Did I save money? Yeah. Could have I done it better? Sure. And now that I'm using contractors, it gets to the point of you want speed on your side. You're going to pay a little bit more, and it's going to get done quicker. So I'm learning, what can I do with my time? Do I want to go and flip the entire house myself and save 15, or say, all right, here's a job for you. I have another project coming on. It's a standard 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,000-square-foot home. The entire interior needs to be redone. I could do the entire interior myself on a $23,000 budget and save the difference, or I'm going to hire a contractor for $45,000. Now, the drawbacks are the amount of time it's going to take me to do that inside the entire interior is going to be twice as long to bring a contractor with a team of people to get it done. So it's a teeter-totter in this business, and you have to treat it like a business. So where I said, what can I do better with my time? Well, when I can afford to hire a contractor that has a good price and does quality work and isn't slow, then I can move on to trying to find another house, getting more money from people who will loan it to me to do more projects, because in the end of the day, you're running a business. We don't want to get by just keeping the lights on. We want to create revenue so we can hire more people to whatever your goal with this business, you want to hire people, because the art of making money in real estate is making money from the benefit of work done by other people.
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. You said that brilliantly. And just taking Amazon as an example, right? I mean, if Mr. Bezos was able to run around and do everything himself, that would be great. But that'd be impossible. He'd probably save a ton of money, but it'd be impossible because he can't replace 30,000 employees or however many employees
And
they have, right? So
you can't scale as fast.
you can't scale. So you know, you have to look at it like having other people. Like I'm going to do this house in Detroit, and I might only visit it once or twice. I might not visit it at all, guys. I mean, I'm in Florida, right? But what does that mean? That means I can do another one right now. I can do 2, I can do 3, I can do 4, I can do 5. So maybe my profit margin gets a little bit smaller because I have to have other people that can handle the job. But at the end of the day, it's scaled and it's something that's repeatable and can be done over and over. All right, I'm going to move on to the scope of work for this so you guys can see what we're going to do to the house. Here's what, and this is the kind of the way that it looks, all right? So the scope of work looks like this. Every lender will have a slightly different one. So this lender, this is the way theirs look. And so it looks like they cut off some of the wording, which is just difficult here because this is the copy they gave me, not the copy I gave them. Anyway, we're going to be doing an entire whole house cosmetic rehab. We're going to be remodeling the kitchen and moving one non-load supporting wall to create an open concept. The kitchen will have new cabinets, tile floors, and granite counters. The bathroom will receive new surround tile, a new tub, new vanity, toilet, and tile floors. The entire home will be painted inside. All carpet will be pulled up, and we discovered this underneath its hardwood flooring throughout the house, which will be completely restored in the entire home. Way better than the vinyl plank idea I had the first time, guys. I mean, restoring hardwood is primo in this kind of house in this area. In the upstairs master bath, the unfinished area of the home is unfinished area of the home is currently not included in the square foot. Basically, on the upstairs, guys, this is a bungalow house. So in a bungalow, you have this big attic, which most people take it and they turn it into a master bedroom, which these people did at some point. But half of the top floor was never finished, or a large portion of it. But it's still getting heat. It still is framed. But all we got to do is slap drywall up there, put permanent flooring, and we got extra square footage. Well, we figured since there's a master bedroom up there anyway, we're going to turn that into a master bathroom. And so that's in the scope of work as well. Plus it adds additional square foot, which helps us with the value. And by the way, our comps in the 190, we didn't add in that it's going to be 150 square foot bigger.
Oh, we didn't take that into consideration at all.
And we didn't even put into consideration that it's going to have an additional bathroom, which I think a master bedroom with a master bathroom in this area is going to make this a very desirable house because most of them don't have it. Okay.
So it's a nice feature.
Very nice feature. And not only that, it's just about walking distance to downtown Grosse Pointe. So
that's nice.
It'd be nice. We're going to do some, we're also going to be painting the ceiling floors in the basement and walls. We're going to be replacing the siding in the garage and also the shingles on the garage and home. And the rest I can't see because they cut it off. But anyway, so then you go through this and then basically you end up breaking down each section of the things you're going to do line by line. So somebody had said, hey, can we show a scope of work? So this is kind of what it looks like. And you have to break down each little area that you're doing. Some lenders want more detail than others. This is the way this lender wanted it. So I had to break in, this is how much for the furnace, this is how much for a water heater, rough electrical. And I want to let you know, I padded this a little bit over what the true cost is. And the reason why I did that is because I do have somebody managing it and I need to pay them out of the money that's doing it.
So you're just accounting for that extra.
Accounting for the extra for that person to manage stuff. Because since I can't be there, I need to have somebody that can be there. Hang on
Right.
1 second. I have a call from my fiance. Hang on 1 second. Honey, I'm in the call. What's going on? Yeah, it's in the Zoom though. He just doesn't know how to find it. It's in the Zoom on Facebook. If you can help him find it, that'd be great. Thank you. All right. All right. Thank you. Sorry, guys, thought it might be an emergency, so I had to grab that. I guess it was my dad needing some help, so I helped her out with that. Okay, so anyway, that's how the scope of work is done. I wanted to show you that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut over to Ego if you're about ready, and have you go on, and then I'm going to come back at the end of this and I'll show individuals that are interested how to go about and decide which type of application to fill out for your particular needs, how to go about getting the actual financing piece. Also going to make a couple of announcements for some products that we're going to be introducing next week. We're going to have some unsecured loans that are going to be available to help you with covering anything, down payment, to cover your fronting the cost to do the work or the repairs, multiple different things. And Ego may, I did not know this until our conversation today, but he may also have some products. Most of you, all of you that are doing financing with me have to have an LLC. So he mentioned that he may have some business lines of credit available that might be easier to get than you realize. So I'm going to turn it over to you now, Ego, and I'll let you go ahead and address the group. Thank you so much for joining us today, by the way.
Now, first of all, thank you guys. Can you guys hear me and see me correctly?
I can hear you.
Okay, excellent. Well, first of all, thank you guys for taking the time and listening to me. With John, what we talked about, I've been dealing with John for the past 2 years from a lending standpoint, and we were talking about what he was doing with this call. What's interesting about this whole situation is, from a credit standpoint, a lot of individuals over here, what we do is we can help you with personal credit. So anything that's on the report, whether it be child support, bankruptcy, eviction, repos, those things could be eliminated. And then what happens is I find a lot of my clients, just to give you a little background, let me hope to give you a little background. My name is Ego Perkins, I apologize. My background is my oldest son played with the Chicago Bears. My middle son just got cut by the New Orleans Saints, so he's in Canada. And I've worked with a lot of athletes and entertainers over the past 12 years. I've worked with Odell Beckham was one of my first clients, Quan Alexander, Jalen Strong. And what I do with athletes and entertainers, I teach them how to leverage their credit, leverage their income, and leverage their name and likeness. And I convert them over to development. So we offer turnkey systems in real estate, turnkey system in development, cannabis, transportation, and of course, restaurants. So we can take an athlete or entertainer and educate them about this, whatever direction they're going in, and we can turnkey system. So we can take a person with zero credit and make that person an 850, a legitimate 850 in about 45 to 50 days. Same thing with, it's not only with credit, what people don't understand what credit is, it's all about the way it looks. A lot of folks say, hey, let's get the self-lending account. Let's get secured cards. All that does is profile you. How could you ask for 100, 200, 300,000 and you have a $300 credit card or self-lending? It doesn't make any sense. So what we do over here, we actually underwrite the file. So we look at the file and we decide, okay, you may need a trade line. I don't know if are you guys familiar what trade line is? Okay, trade line is, we call it a piggyback. So I have a $25,000 Navy Federal card. If I put Scott as an authorized user on my Navy Fed card, when he look at his credit profile, it will show he has access to that 25,000 card. That one move can jack your debt to income. Because let's hypothetically, Scott has a credit card right now at $10,000 and he is using $7,000. So he's using 70% of that utilization. If I put that 25,000 on top of Scott's credit, now all of a sudden he has 35,000 in credit and he's only using 7,000 at 35. So his utilization dropped from 70% utilization, drop all the way down to less than 10% utilization. So what we do is we do a combination of adding trade lines, removing derogatory accounts, removing and just building the account the right way. One thing I specialize in also is identifying third-tier banks. When I have my clients, you don't see no First Premier, you don't see no Credit One, you don't see no Bank of Montana, Bank of Missouri. What you will see is Bank of America, Wells Fargo, BOA, Credit Union, first-tier banks, because it makes the whole profile look credible. So now, I know John mentioned something that's very interesting. You guys, first of all, congratulations on you guys' purchase of your first home together. That's very, John, that's very unique, and congratulations to you all. Now, let me tell you what we can do with that LLC. You guys just got an LLC that purchased a property. That LLC is a bad LLC, because it has assets. That LLC, we can get that LLC up to $300,000 to $400,000 in funding. As brand new that LLC is, we can get funding for every LLC. So basically, as you create
My money today.
as you create LLCs to purchase these homes or whatever the case may be, hey, those LLCs are stronger than a Social Security. You can go into a dealer as an individual and purchase 3 cars, one for you, your wife, and a kid, once you can qualify for it. As an LLC, you can go in there and purchase 10 cars. You can get a whole fleet. Another thing that's what can benefit you guys a lot is debt to income. A lot of folks have a car in their name, the wife, probably your son or your daughter. I have a client right now, his debt to income was 87% debt to income. He had made $120,000 a year and he's using 87% of his money. Stop. So let me tell you what his credit profile looked like. He had 3 credit cards, solar panel for $75,000 loan. He had 3 cars in his name, him, his wife, and his daughter, and he had a personal line of credit for $15,000. What we did with him was we opened him up a brand new LLC, 3 days old. We then transferred 2 of the vehicles from his name over to that new LLC. We also got him a business loan and transferred that solar panel, $60,000, over to the business. His debt income went from 87 down to 15. Now he's lendable. So we do a lot of these different strategic financing to get to the end product, but everything is fundable. Donald Trump has 600 LLCs. Mark Cuban has over 700. Warren Buffett has over 2,200 LLCs. Mitt Romney has over 2,500 LLCs. Think of this. If I'm telling you right now, I can fund any LLC up to $200,000 to $300,000 brand new. Could you imagine what they're doing with all of those LLCs they have over there? And again, most of the loans and lines of credit that we utilize are unsecured, majority of them are non-recourse, and they're all on the business, not on the person.
So Ego, would you be able to provide, we're gonna have to talk a little bit more because this is something that Ego revealed to me just before this conversation. I didn't even know you did it. I apologize. Would this be something that we could make a platform or a way for people to apply with you for that through our group?
Yeah, I think it's, yeah, again, I'm a big advocate of never using your money, use somebody else's money. And I specialize in finding other people's money. And then not only finding the money, also protecting you through the LLC so you're not held liable for any, if it goes left, you do like Circuit City or Kmart.
Absolutely. I really do. I don't know if everybody sees the value in this, but I really do see I see a lot of value in making my wheels turn. Go, okay, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this.
Most
Very
of you
good.
guys, honestly, most of you guys, when I meet individuals, most individuals don't sleep the next night because they up all night. And I'm not saying, I was just blessed to be in the situation. When I came to this country from the Bahamas, my goal was to be having a suit and tie and a briefcase, making six figures, and get a wife and a white picket fence. That's the American dream. The problem with that dream was when my son got drafted, his first check he was getting every 2 weeks, $257,000 every 2 weeks.
Who's doing that?
Odell was getting $648,000 every 2 weeks. Quan was making $438,000 every 2 weeks. So what happened to my six-figure salaries? Thinking that I'm rich.
Wow.
It went down. So what had happened is I was so blessed to be in. Of course, every agent in the country want to talk to you. If you have 30 plus players that you work with, every financial advisor want to sit down and meet with you. So what happened was I was able to pick up. I can pretty much read a credit profile. I know the algorithms, and we understand the whole strategic financing piece of it, the back end of it. Not like John. John know the front end and all of that, but the back end and understanding the algorithms.
I want to let you know, because I think that a lot of us, you kind of threw that on them, and I don't think they picked up some of the nuances, like for the first time, because they kind of don't really making the connection. So, you just mentioned all these pro players and how that. So, is this what you did do for pro players? Is that how you became an expert?
Yes. To give you a good example is I have a client of mine. He played with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's in Minnesota right now. John, I think you sort of the property. His father-in-law owns a property. It's about a whole city block. The property is valued at $749,000. The church owes $46,000 on the property. What we did was we got the pastor to lease the property to the Steeler for 75 years, $1 a year for 75 years. In return, what we're doing is we're completing a $48 million project. We're in the final phases of that. Once that project is complete, we're going to tear down that church and put up 109 condo units. Now, part of the deal is the church gets 10% of the new value of the property. So the new value of the property is going to be 48 million. So the church gets 4.8 million. And then the church also gets 10% of anything that's sold or leased on that property for the next 75 years. So we created generational wealth for that church. We're doing the same thing again for an athlete down in Houston in the 5th Ward. So again, we have 27 talents that include NFL, couple basketball players. We have 3 Olympians that we manage, and about 7 other track and field, U.S. track and field representatives.
Fantastic. And I want to let you know too, Ego also holds a couple of celebrity charity events, and maybe we could get it'd be an opportunity for us to go.
Yeah, we do.
Help a good cause and go rub shoulders with some of these professionals.
Yeah, we do. We're part of the Hula Bowl that takes place down in Orlando every year, where you get all the top senior athletes, college football players to the Hula Bowl. And then we also run a nonprofit called Life After Sports, where we help athletes transition from the field. So we help athletes with mental health, physical health, of course, financing, and of course, we help them with that whole transition. Because again, a lot of these athletes, you think about it, they're coming from all this fanfare, 100,000, 50,000 people cheering them on all day long. Then all of a sudden they get a phone call and say, hey, we don't need you no more. All the friends, everything disappears with them. With that same
That's
phone call.
awesome. So I'm gonna try to break this down a little bit for everybody on the class. So step one, somebody says, you know what, my credits really need some help. So what do we need to do, Ego, to get started? What would a person need to do so they can get started and get you helping them with their credit? What would be the
The
first
first
step?
thing they'll do is get a Credit Karma or whatever agency, Credit Karma, Smart Credit, or Experian, or Identity IQ. Once we get that information, I can pretty much determine exactly what is needed on that profile. I can tell you the worst case scenario. I had a gentleman, he's a car dealer down in Chicago. He had 8 repossessions. And we charged him $2,500 to remove 8 repossessions. That's one of the worst case scenarios I've seen, But again, if you have credit issues, get a Credit Karma, one of the logins, get it over to John or myself. We can identify and give you an estimate of how long it's going to take. And then from John, once you do that, then you can look for the funding part of it if you're interested in the soft course.
What I think we'll do is we'll create a really small intake application, just so that they can submit seamlessly over to us. And then we can I can fire that off to you. You can do a quick review and do a estimate of what it would be, and we can fire that back.
Also, what I also would encourage, John, if they don't have any LLC, everybody should open up an LLC instantaneously. Because again, understanding LLC is just like a Social Security. It never dies. It only grows.
Yeah, and then the business credit's a whole nother one. So it'll be a couple different avenues there. I love it. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any real quick questions for Ego, so we can, before we go on to the next thing? Because I'm trying to keep us down to that 4:30 mark so that nobody's on here too long. Go ahead. If anybody has any questions, go ahead. Alfonso, go ahead. You have the floor.
So I got a quick question for you. I've had a credit guy do my credit, and I'm gonna say that in November of 2022, it was 742, something like that, right? So I got some credit cards, and I've been telling him that really what I want to do is not for me. I want to build my business credit, right? Now, my LLC has been in existence for about 2 years, and I'm not bragging or anything, but I do over $100,000 a month go through it. And I can't seem to get nothing off the ground with it. So I need your information yesterday.
You should be, what type of business do you have?
It's consulting. And I have some steady contracts. Like I used to be a security guy. I used to own a security company. So now I'm out of the business per se as a security guy who owns the company and pays all employees. I go out and consult, and I get security contracts and get the commission. I get commission for that. And there it is on top of what I do with ARM, 2 to 3 deals a month on 2. So I'm really interested in this because I can't seem to get over that hump. And it seems like the credit person that I have hasn't been able to get me over the hump because I've been dealing with them for over a year now.
But part of the problem
at all.
Part of the problem that you're going to have with a lot of credit people and a lot of tax people, 2 things. Number one is it's hard for me to take advice from somebody who's only making $60,000 or $50,000 a year. So if again, and not knocking no one, but you have to be there to see there. You know what I'm saying? So with your situation, if you telling me you bring in $100,000 a month, you should be able to get $1 million line of credit like that.
And that's why I need your information right away, because whatever you need me to send you to prove to you that I can, like bank statements, easy. I've been trying to get this line of credit so that I can take bigger steps forward. That's it. And I haven't been able to get it.
If you can send me your name and number, I can get that. That can be done in like the whole first round of business funding lasts about 10 days.
I'm gonna, and Alfonso, just to let you know, I knew that this would be very hot because I was very interested right away too. So I'm gonna be getting with Ego within the next 24 hours. And we're gonna be creating, not just for myself, but I'm gonna create some kind of intake so that everyone can just seamlessly get it to them quickly. That everybody can just push a button, do the work, just like my website that I'm gonna take you to now. And I'm just gonna add it as an additional tool there. And Ego, you're gonna be able to see that too, so you can see what I'm talking about. And I'll just
Okay.
add, I'll create a form for us to do there with your help. And I'm gonna go ahead and take over from here. Ego, thank you so much for sharing that. And
Hey,
I hope you'll be
before he-
regular on here, and I invite you to our coffee chat that we have every morning. Because there's been the regulars that are on the coffee chat, they know there's been some great opportunities. We've made some business deals right there in the morning. It's a great way to catch me. Some of you might find it difficult sometimes to catch me. I'm always there in the coffee time, so you can get my ear, and you might find somebody else that has just what you're looking for. So I encourage you to join that. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen real quick.
Yeah.
And
Arn, I'm
go
gonna have
ahead.
to get a number from you so I can call him and talk to him about my situation. I want to take a look. I'm interested in some things he shared today, so I'd like to talk with him further. Ego, if that's okay with you.
Hey,
Absolutely.
I'm here to give knowledge, as much knowledge as I can. Again, I was fortunate to get into up to the big house and look in and say there's a lot of food in here. So I'm back in the field saying, hey guys, keep going north. There's more food up there.
Ego is awesome, you guys. I've got 2 or 3 projects going on with him right at this very moment. He's also referred several, at least one football player I can remember. Name is escaping me, but at least one that I may have talked to more. And how many people did you get into how many of your boys got into the NFL draft this year or recently?
Last year we had 4. This year we have 2.
Nice.
And we have the Super Bowl. We have a Super Bowl champion on our team. We have Isaiah Pacheco. He was Rookie of the Year, and he is our client, the running back for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Nice.
And
Him to be the MVP of the Super Bowl game. I would have won. It was 500 to 1 odds.
He should have won.
I was bummed out. They didn't give him the ball enough.
He should have won the MVP. He should have won the MVP.
Oh,
Yeah.
he definitely would have. That guy's
And
beat.
in the best of all, he's a hell of a kid. He's a hell of a kid.
He seems like it. Yeah. Cool.
all right, guys.
Hey, John, wait before, if any of you guys have any athletes or any athletes that need representation, we also do representation with the NIL and plus support on the field and off the field.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, there's going to be some, definitely. Hopefully, you can be a regular on here because Tim was a presenter last week, and having people on here, being able to share and continuing to share the pieces of wisdom, it just adds so much to the group. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and share now. What I wanted to get into was a number of times we've talked about the different types of financing and going through the fix and flip process and so forth. What I want to get into just a little bit quicker is nailing down on the types of loan products that we have. I'm not going to be able to cover all of them. That's just going to be impossible. So I'm going to cover part of one group and 2 of the lumpings that I have, okay? So we're going to talk about the fix and flip bridge loan products. I'm going to start out with just those. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this here because I'm going to use this as a piece to come back and forth to. And then I'm also going to go here. So the first thing you want to do, you want actually have the house and you know you're sure of your ARVs, you've already figured all that out, is you want to be, I don't know if everybody knows this, but you can go right to our website to apply. And you just go to unstoppablefunding.com. And this is what the webpage landing site looks like. And down here, you're just going to have, I tried to keep this as simple as possible. It doesn't cover everything we do, but it covers the majority. So you have the Fix and Flip Easy app. The two that we're going to talk about today is the Fix and Flip Easy app and the Hard Money app. Okay. So everybody is going to fit in. If you're doing a home, if you're using if your purpose is to renovate the property. So if you're buying a property to renovate, if you're refinancing a property to renovate, anything that includes renovation, you're going to want to use either the Fix and Flip or the Hard Money app. And so what I wanted to do real quick is a lot of times individuals aren't sure which ones to use for their situation. So what I wanted to do is just kind of group it in a way and give you just a couple of quick yes or no questions that you can ask yourself and determine ahead of time which one of these products is going to fit your situation the best. Okay. So the first question you want to ask yourself, is my credit score higher than 660? Because if it's not higher than 660, we're going to need to use the Hard Money app. There's a couple of situations where I might be able to go a little bit lower, but I'll tell you that when we get the application in. And we will explore that opportunity. I always try to give the client the very best I can. So if your score is lower than 660, then you're going to want to use the Hard Money app. Now, what I want to point out here is that there's another sentence that I have in here, and that is, what is the best score among all the members of your entity? So let's say you have a 530 score, okay? So you're like, oh man, I got to use the Hard Money. But you have someone else that's a part of your LLC, or maybe someone you know that has a good score, and well, you could put them on your operating agreement. I'm only going to look at one person's score, just one. And I'm not even going to look at all three bureaus, just one. I'm only going to look at Equifax for this, okay? So 660, above 660, one person above 660, you can use the Fix and Flip Easy app. What's the difference between the Hard Money and the Fix and Flip Easy app? Well, one, they ask slightly different questions, but the Hard Money app, they don't care what your credit score is. So by nature, it's a higher risk. So because it's a higher risk, the costs are higher, the loan costs are higher, the interest rate is higher, the terms are less desirable. So it's going to be to your advantage if you can do the Fix and Flip Easy app. But I wanted to show you myself that the Hard Money is not necessarily a bad situation. I used it for the loan we're closing on today. My credit score is over 730. I didn't have to do that. But that is how I decided to do it because of different factors in there and because I wanted to go easy and make sure I had zero possibilities of hiccups. Will the ARV be over 100,000? That's the next one, okay? So to do any of these Fix and Flip Easy apps, which the Fix and Flip Easy app goes to basically what I call my syndicated lenders. So those are lenders that are bigger than just a small private guy. They're doing in the neighborhood of hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars every year in fix and flip financing. So they're more of a hybrid. They're more comparable to your mainstream lenders as far as the way that they are uniform in their standards and their underwriting processes. So for those guys, all their underwriting and everything like that is all written down, so it's easily navigatable. When you get into true private money, which the hard money app is for, it becomes very subjective. So you have a person, generally like one owner, and it's all their money. And so they make all the rules. But because of that, depending on the mood they're in, those rules can change. I had one guy, he had given a loan clear to close on an ice cream shop. And we put it back through him because we had to get some title work cleared. And he decided, I don't want to do restaurants anymore, just on a whim. So we weren't able to do it. So that's the difference with true hard money, is that you are dealing with individuals that can be somewhat unpredictable. The next part, is the property a small commercial property under 500,000? So this might be a warehouse, it might be a strip mall, it might be an apartment building, but it's under 500,000. Okay. So under 500,000, then we're probably going to need to use the hard money app for commercial property. Now, a lot of the people here are in city areas where the inner city is somewhat depressed. So you can buy commercial properties really cheap. This is about the only place you can get those done. So, you might find a party store for 70,000 bucks, for instance, right? So this would be the place where you could get that financed. So it'd be the hard money app. The great thing about the hard money app, again, no credit check, no income check, no asset check. Okay, nice and easy, and they will give you money for repairs. And they also do an appraisal. They just do they look online, they check for surrounding values, and they do a desktop valuation. And also, the Fix and Easy app only covers properties that are 1 to 4 unit. So if you're over 1 to 4 units, you're going to need to call us, or you may need to do something what I would call special. Okay. We don't have everything on the website, but we do have additional products like spec loans and rental loans and so forth, which we will cover in another class, but can't cover everything in one single class. Okay, so now how to use the website. When you go to the website, you're going to see these different applications. They're all pretty much the same. If you click on it, it's going to look like this, and it's going to show what the application looks like. This is what you don't have to fill this out by hand, guys. Okay, I have a lot of people printing them out. They fill them out by hand, then they have to scan them and send them back. And it seems like, wow, that's a lot of work. This is what they call a fillable PDF. All you do is you click on it, click in the blue area, and you type in, my name's John. So I put John Golding, like that, right? Then I put in what I think my score is. I just fill it all out. When you're done, you just want to click, you can either click print, you can click it this way, you can click print, or you can do a save as. And if you save it, you can save it to your desktop. You just need to save it, name it something that you would recognize. And it's going to keep all the information that you put on here. Then you can just email me what you filled out on here. Okay, it's pretty easy. You do need to have an entity if you don't have one. If there's anyone on here that doesn't have an entity, doesn't know how to get one set up, you can have a special class, not necessarily a Wednesday class, but a separate class on how to go about setting up an LLC, getting an EIN number, and so forth. You don't have to have any previous experience with that entity. It could be brand new. Doesn't have to be around, doesn't have to have a credit history. The reason for an entity is because the loans we do are not available to consumers. They are only available to businesses. Okay. We are prohibited to individuals by law. Okay. The reason for that is because we do not verify a means to pay the loan back. So if you do not establish a way to pay the loan back, then you cannot loan to, for consumer purposes. That makes it a whole lot easier to borrow the money. Nobody's gonna be digging
Everybody-
in ties and going, oh, what's this on your credit report? And, show me your tax return and what's that expense and so forth. The actual, process as far as debt ratio does not exist for this type of finance. Another way you can use the fix and flip loan, guys, and this is important for those people looking to buy houses to rent or do Airbnb, right? One of the more popular loans you're hearing talked about a lot, even though this has existed for nearly 30 years, something you're hearing about all the time is DSCR loans. How many people have heard about that and think it's, I thought, oh, this is new, we can qualify on DSCR. DSCR stands for debt service coverage ratio. I can tell you pretty much for a fact that there have been no commercial buildings done, period, that did not incorporate DSCR as a way to cover their qualifications. So it's been a means for commercial for many, many years. The difference is that the consumer side finally said, oh, you know what? We need to get creative because we can't lend to consumers without verifying their income. So we'll just use the rent. So it's being remarketed, repurposed as something new, but it's existed for a long time. Here's what's great though. On the fix and flip product, we don't even use a DSCR at all. So it doesn't matter what you're renting it for. You might be asking, well, why does that matter, John? Well, the reason why it matters is because interest rates have skyrocketed up. And rents have gone up too. However, one crazy caveat. Rent is in super high demand, right? So you can put something up for rent and you're probably going to get it rented out, depending where you're at, a few days, maybe a week. You'll probably get a lot of calls on it as soon as you put it up for rent. What does that mean? Why is that important? Well, to use DSCR, the appraiser has to establish what the rent is, okay? So the appraiser has to go by what realtors have reported as properties that are listed and that they have signed lease agreements. Basically, they use the multi-list. And what I'm trying to explain is that in a market this hot, most individuals are not using a realtor to lease out their properties because they don't need to pay a commission to get the tenant. So the realtor, as a paradox, a hot market, has less access to show what the true rents are. So you're going to get an artificially low number the appraisal is going to give you very, very often. In addition to that, interest rates have gone up, which makes it more difficult for that rent to be at least what the new payment is. So this is a way around that, so that you can do Airbnb, you can rent it out, you can establish Airbnb rents on it. This is a way where you can just use it, you can acquire the property, even if it doesn't need rehab, no income, no asset verification, no DSCR. Okay. So a little caveat you may not have known, and we can go up to 2 years with that loan. All right, so I don't really need to go on any further on this. This is pretty self-explanatory, I think. I'm really, really excited too. I feel like the class is really developing. I'm trying to add more and more tools to it. I intend to have in the future some special classes that are just like spot classes. They're going to be workshops on individual things that people would like to work on. For instance, the tax, like getting set up with tax strategies, for instance. I think that's really important. It's something that I missed. because there's things you have to do ahead of time to properly strategize for that. And I'm gonna, for some reason, Scott, I got you from the center, so I'm gonna, would you mute for a second? I'm gonna see if it'll switch over because I'm recording it. And I don't know what's going on there, but change review. I don't know, but so anyway, Scott, you can just look wonderful for everybody, and that'll be just fine. Thank you. Anyway, but I want to continue to add content. Make sure and let me know. Send me emails. Let me know what you'd like to see, what information you're needing to feel like the group is adding value. Feel free to just post things on our group page, because it's only valuable if people are using it. So post your questions, post things about your houses, and if you got a place for rent, got a place for sale, if you have anything hot, go ahead and show us off. All right. Anybody have anything else they'd like to share today before we end the call?
I actually wanted to mention, I know you mentioned about rent. Part of my strategy is to find properties that are in rough shape and use the BRRRR method to create a portfolio of high-end rental properties. So I put a few extra things in. I do like tile, I do granite countertops. I put Bluetooth speakers in the bathroom. So with a quiet fan, I just put a couple extra nice things in there. And I try to make it have a lot of room for storage, even though it's a small 1950s ranch, right? But I tend to see that the market rent is like here we go again, 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 1,000 square foot house. They're projecting rent is like 1,400. Some of these houses 1,300, maybe 1,500. After, you know, I put almost $50,000 into a house and I make it turnkey really nice and put a nice features in there. I mark it up like 1,700.
Yeah.
And people, it takes a little longer to find a tenant, but once, I mean, there's if I'm signing a 2-year deal, I mean, I have a couple extra months to wait to find somebody before it's breaking even at that price.
Yeah, and once they see it, I mean, you guys, is Scott finished his houses to a very nice level for and the neighborhoods he's in. I'd say it's probably the nicest house in the neighborhood for sure when he's done.
Yeah, I'm gonna
he,
post the one. I'll be posting the one I just finished up here pretty soon. I got to gather the pictures together and I'll get it up there.
He really put some work, so you can command those kind of rents when you do what you do to those houses for sure. I mean, yeah, I think you've put about the biggest deck. You know, the thing is, he's one of these guys. He understates and overperforms. He said he was going to repair the deck in the backyard, and this house had like a 6x8 deck. I think, you know, maybe it was like 12x8 at the most, right?
It was
deck on the back. How big is that deck that you put on the back?
You know what? I ended up pulling like the 1970s like trailer park carpet that you can putt on with 1.5 inches of dirt and trees growing all throughout it. I'd have to say that deck is like every bit of 50 feet by 20 feet, because the boards, every single board is a 5x6 that or a 4x, they're thick big boards and they're all 16 foot long. So I took several trips to the store, and at Menards, you know, save big money at Menards. They make you pull all the wood yourself anyway, so you're really losing time and you're working out, right? These heavy boards. So I would put 40 of these 16-foot boards. I have a truck, a Chevy Silverado with this 8-foot bed. I put 40 of those boards and strap them in and drive half hour back to the project, watching my tires in the back end of the truck be like, whoop. So, and just making sure things don't slide out of the truck.
My dad did that with a Subaru, but actually the biggest deck that I've ever been a part of. That belongs to my dad. He gets that title. This thing was like 15 feet off the ground, was like 40 feet by like 15 feet. And he hauled all these boards with this little tiny Volvo, right? This Volvo station wagon. It was Subaru. I'm sorry, Subaru, right? Subaru, Dad. He's on the call, so yeah. You're muted, so nobody can hear you.
Subaru.
Subaru. Yeah. And then on the other side, he used railroad ties and built just as big a one right across the other side of the thing. But anyway, it was he did it all for my benefit, so I'd have something to do. So
Nice.
anyway, thank you, Scott. Hey, thank you, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and cut it here. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Can't wait to get with Ego and Alfonso and Scott. Great to see what you got going on. Kimberly, real quick, Kimberly, you're on this call. So if you want to,
Yes, I am.
1 second, how did your offer go the other day?
I did not go ahead and go through with it after I had a contractor go through.
Okay.
And he did kind of like an estimate on what he thought it would be to kind of bring it back. And those numbers just didn't make sense. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, absolutely right. You can't get so fixated on the idea and the dream.
Yeah, it was a great area, but of course, like I said, if it doesn't make sense, then, and I was waiting to hear from you as well, but I didn't hear from you, and then I reached out to someone else, and then I was like, you know what, there'll be some other deals, and I don't want to be, like you said, so fixated and so anxious that you jump on the wrong thing. So something bigger and better.
You know what, you're right. I did not get back to you. And I apologize. Sometimes my days run away with me. So I do apologize for that. The house she was looking at happened to be pretty close to me. So I was going to try to scoot by it for her.
Yeah, I've been actually trying to reach out. We've been trying to reach out to Al as well. I've messaged him 2 times in the chat the last couple of sessions, trying to see what he has up in his area.
Alfonso, Kimberly needs you. Unmute yourself.
Okay, hey, Kimberly, forgive me. I'm just figuring out how to raise my hand in here. That was the first time I ever did, and I've probably been on 100 Zoom calls. So the best thing to do is just get my number from Arn and call me or email me, because I didn't even look at the chat and all that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we tried to reach out to you to see what you guys got going on up there. I'm in Florida. I'm in Orlando, so.
Well, it's funny. I mean, I was down in your area. Well, I was in Southern Florida this week, and Arn knows, looking at some stuff. So I'm interested in whatever I can help you with. And if you can't catch Arn and you got a quick question, please feel free to call me.
I need to get your number. Definitely need to get your number. There are a few of us, other people on here that were looking for you too, as well. So
yeah, I apologize to everybody. Yeah, please feel free to contact.
Yeah, I think you're able to message each other in the group as well. Let me see here. Like you should be able to search if you click on members and just find a member.
Okay, so Al's in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay.
This should be.
Let's go to the Unsecured Funding University, and Al was on the call this morning. He didn't know how to get on the coffee call. And I recommend this coffee call, guys. It's a great place to find each other in the morning. And Kimberly, I know you've been on there probably more than anybody, actually. And you just happened to miss him today. Alfonso was on it this morning.
Oh man, I had another call this morning at 7:30.
It happens. So I'll make sure you guys get each other's numbers, and that's it too. We want to be building each other's business, whatever their endeavors. We're here to help each other out. Help all of us together. We're unstoppable, not just on our own, right? It's like, right. I know quite a bit, but I don't know everything. That's for damn sure. I learned about 3 or 4 things from Ego today that I did not know. I've been doing this, guys. I've been doing this since I've been somewhat related to this since high school. I mean, since working with my dad way back in the beginning. And I was like in 11th, 10th grade, I think, when I first started working with your financial services company back then. So, I mean, I've been working in related fields to this for, gosh, 35 years probably, and in mortgages directly for at least 30. So quite a long time. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and end it just because I kept promising I would, and I should.